Bror Fredrik coming at you with another video. I've been excited to do this one. It is my recap of F1 weekend and the race itself. I'm going to get into the highs, the lows, the wins, the fails, the spin, and of course my opinion on everything. The race itself was awesome. You saw it. I took you there live. I told you I would, and we went. I hope you guys enjoyed that. There's more F1 content coming out, some behind the scenes stuff, some little bit of racing that me and my bro did, so in glorious 4K, so it'll be interesting over the next couple of days, but I had to get this one out ASAP. Again, my F1 recap, so let's get into it. As you can tell, I was Team Ferrari, Scuderia Ferrari. Unfortunately, we did not win. We gave up a 25-second lead. How that happens, I don't know. You guys tell me. But I gotta give props and a proper shout out to Team Red Bull. You guys kicked ass. You brought your A game. You came out on top. So shout out to Red Bull and all you fans out there. Maybe Ferrari will get you next year, or maybe there won't even be a race in Las Vegas next year. That remains to be seen. I was sitting on the fence at about 50-50, but I'm thinking I'm like 75-25 that it'll come back next year, but that remains to be seen. So I'm going to cover a lot of stuff in this video. I got some pictures to show you. The fireworks, I got stuff, so stay tuned. And at the end, again, I'm going to give my opinion. But I wanted to start out with the race itself. You know, I've not been a fan of the logistics. I've been in the F1 camp logistically and what it's done. But I want to start out on a positive, which is the race itself. The race itself was awesome. I'm not gonna lie. The race itself was awesome. I did a live stream. I did a Facebook live stream, and you saw the live stream that I did. If not, go and click the link below. I actually streamed about half the race. I could have streamed the entire thing. We had great connection. However, I wanted to enjoy it myself. I didn't want to sit there the whole time doing this, even though I would have loved to. I was there to enjoy it as much as you guys were, so I'm glad you came with me, and that was a fun video to make, and it was an exhilarating video. You can see from the Facebook Live I did on Friday night, just the energy that was there. It's an amazing thing to see in person. If you're not there in person, people would say, well, Bror Fredrik, I could have just watched it on TV. There was more action. I can get to see the race from all the different angles. However, being there is on a whole different level. It is truly on a whole different level. You could feel it in your chest. It's almost electric. Being under the lights, being up in the grandstand, all the pomp and circumstance around it. And we did have a huge TV right across from us, so we got to see everything that was transpiring throughout the race. And I thought our seats, me and my bros, were pretty optimal. We sat in the first grandstand in front of the Mirage. We were parallel, equal in height to the top of the volcano, so we had a top-down view. I would suggest that maybe being a little lower was a little closer to the action, maybe a little louder, but we got the top-down view, so you saw the entire car pass, not just a profile and a blur. What I will tell you about the race is, oh my God, it is loud. I told everyone it is gonna be loud, and these were race rated, lowers everything by about 30 dB. And you needed them. I went 1 or 2 laps without wearing them. It was nuts. It is nuts loud, just as I told everyone it would be. And I saw so many people in the crowd not wearing ear protections. I can't even imagine what their ears are probably still ringing. I don't know. Maybe they've been to enough races, but I definitely needed a set of these. I'm also surprised that they didn't hand them out. They should have had, big buckets of the disposable foam at the bare minimum, because a lot of people who went there, again, some people were familiar and other people and just didn't give F's, and other people probably weren't ready for that. They should have been, with a big bowl, like a big bowl of candy, and just reach in and plug your ears up. That they didn't do, but it is exhilarating. Honestly, it's an experience I will remember for the rest of my life. And if you go to a future one, whether here or anywhere else, you too will remember it for the rest of your life. We were up on the 12th row, which is the absolute top that you can go to. And we did that again for the top-down view. But also, if you noticed during the live stream, we were able to stand up, because the only thing behind us was the rail preventing us from falling into the Mirage volcano. And those were awesome seats because we stood up, we looked. I mean, you could tell I filmed the whole thing, both a live stream and a 4K. We were taking pictures, we were standing up, doing all the things. And we didn't have to worry about annoying the people behind us, because if you're in the middle and you're standing up and they don't feel like standing up either, you're kind of obstructing their view too, and they paid good money. So we didn't want to do that. So we got on the top so we can do our thing. That's another pro tip for a race that I would give you, unless you're okay with politely sitting, but I wasn't into politely sitting. We were all doing this and just having a good time. I tell you something else, you can feel that grandstand kind of swaying a little bit, especially while we were walking up. You can kind of feel, once we were up there, it sort of calmed down. Once everyone was in their seat, you didn't feel it as much. You just felt a little, motion to the ocean. But when everyone was still jockeying for position in the actual grandstand, you could feel it. I mean, it was inches, but it was kind of fun. I didn't feel like we were going to fall or anything, but it was kind of fun. So, that was the race. The race, again, awesome. Opportunity of a lifetime. Hopefully there's many more. Maybe someday I'll take you to Monaco and we'll go do that. But it was fun. The race was exciting. Again, Ferrari, better luck next time. Shout out Red Bull, and shout out you Red Bull fans. So the overall weekend was absolutely awesome. My friends rolled into town between Thursday and Friday night. Of course, Friday night we did a big dinner. Friends, business associates, new friends. It was absolutely amazing. Of course, we did Bavette's, we did the Seafood Towers, we did the Prime Rib. We did it all. We had a great time there. They were super accommodating to us. Place, we were able to get reservations on the fly. Yes, they do know us, but I'll lean into that a little bit later. The town was not that full whatsoever. However, great dinner, great meal. We went out afterwards and did watch some of the practice. We did go out and watch some of the qualifications, which are absolutely awesome to see. I think Red Bull, I think you guys were sandbagging a little bit. How do you do like a 1.45 in quals and 1.29 on, just saying. You know what you did? But it was an absolute, again, amazing weekend. The experience was awesome. I only had race tickets, didn't do qualifying tickets or the practice tickets. And all the drama that was involved in the practice. And we'll talk about that in a bit too. But again, highlights of the weekend. What would I say the highlights of the weekend were? Besides Bavette's and having an amazing meal over there, we also got to run the track because they did open it at night at 4 a.m. Yes, it was open to the public. And you're like, how the heck is that possible? But they did. They said they would, and they did. So my buddy and I made a point to get out there as soon as the track opened. You'll see that footage, but that was cool. Under the lights, without all the traffic. When we first went out, maybe there was 2 or 3 other vehicles, and people started getting the idea, and we were doing the track, and it was cool. We didn't take it up to like 220 or anything, because they put the, they still had the street lights and everything. And for the most part, people were obeying them, even though there was no cross traffic. So I didn't understand that. But we got to, how would I say, test our skills with some other drivers. Beat a few, lost to a few, but that was again part of the highlight, to be on the actual racetrack. Yes, we've done that live, and we had a lot of fun doing that, but this was actual race day with race conditions, the track the way they were going to use it, the lights the way they did use them. So that was a pretty amazing experience. And again, look for those videos over here, over there. They'll be coming out over the next couple of days because I do have to compile them. I got a lot of footage. Now, let me think, when was that? Friday night, we were at the Vidara. So we got done with the track. I'm trying to think. The whole weekend, I'll be honest, a little bit of a blur. No, it was after. Okay, we went out at maybe 3:45. They were supposed to open the track at 4. About 3:45, we saw an opening. So we did our laps. Nope, let me do it in the right direction. So we did our laps, had our fun, and then we pulled back into the Vidara. Pulled back into the Vidara. And up behind us is Charles Leclerc, Team Ferrari, pulls up right behind us. That was kind of cool. And, the funny thing about that is, and he was in a Ferrari, a beautiful Ferrari. I'll toss up some pictures. The funny thing about it is there was one guy in valet that was an avid F1 fan. So he knew right away. My buddy, because, I was still on the wheel, so my buddy's looking over and he's like, that's the clerk, ain't it, over there? And he was in the car with his girlfriend or whatever. They got out, and they actually had to write him. He had the VIP parking and pass and whatever. They actually had to take the time to write him a stub. That was so weird. He's a premier driver in F1. He still had to, get a valet ticket. So you'll see those pictures too. So, it seemed like a cool guy, like, what up, like that. So we got it behind him even more now that we felt like, got a little bit of a rapport. Yeah, you parked behind me, bro. We valeted together. But again, 25-second lead. Whatever. Anyway, what else happened? An odd thing, I'll tell you an odd little story. Me and my bro, we had to go out west to take care of some business. Not like far west, but west side of Las Vegas. We had to take care of a little business. So we were like, let's call an Uber, right? So we call an Uber. And we're drinking, what the heck did we get? We stopped at Double D and we got some iced coffees, right? And the temperature dropped like 15 degrees by the time we got there, by the time it got back. I'm in a t-shirt. I think he was in a t-shirt too, and we're drinking these things, and the temperature's dropping, and we're just like, yikes. I hope this Uber gets here. We call the Uber. Uber shows up. Did you ever see Fast Times at Ridgemont High? Did you ever see that, with the Spicoli, and they open the doors, and all the smoke comes out, if you know what I'm saying? They come rolling out or whatever. That's what happened with this Uber. So open the door and it's like smoke comes out of it. You know what kind I'm talking about, right? That kind of smoke, yeah. So me and my buddy are looking at each other like, do we really want to get in this Uber right now? So we proceed to get in. What are we going to do? We're just like, yo, it's cold, we got frozen freaking coffee inside us. We're in t-shirts and it's like 40 degrees out. All right, so we get in. So, of course, we're going to ask a few questions. We're like, smells a little, 420 in here? Is it 420? Let me check my watch. It's not 420, but it kind of gives the appearance like it's 420 in the afternoon. And she, the driver, is like, that silly thing, that was my last fare. Whoo, did they reek. It was 420 wherever they came from. They just reeked. And we're like, okay. And we're actually, because, we don't want to be complete D's. We're like messaging each other. Like, you seeing what I'm seeing? Boop. Yeah, I see it, bro. Should we ask her to pull over? We're doing that, right in the back seat in a Tesla. So she's, but I mean, I can talk. I like to talk. I enjoy talking. I could talk the balls off a rhinoceros. But she could talk the balls off of two rhinoceroses. She's just going on and on, kind of that nervous 420 yapping going on. We know everything. We know what she does. We know her kids' names. We know how many bedrooms they have. We know the whole life story in 5 minutes because it's just like, it's just the nervous motor mouth. And then she admits, she says, well, you guys were my first fare. What? Bro, did she just admit that she's wasted off her ass? Yeah, she did. Okay. And we're flying down, what was it, 215 East at 80 miles an hour. And we're just like, whoa. So that was kind of interesting. I mean, she drove. I'm not going to say she drove bad, but it was a weird experience. I will just say, I mean, to each their own. I don't judge, but don't be driving and don't be picking up people when you're just, when it was 420 at 410. You know what I'm saying? Just don't. And, that could have ended badly, but fortunately it ended up, and it's a little bit of a story now, and hopefully she doesn't do that again because, we did correct her about the issue. And I would highly recommend you people just don't hop in the back of Ubers or Lyfts or cab drivers when smoke comes flying out. We were in a little bit different position. We were like way the heck in the middle of nowhere. We probably could have called for another one, but, things being what they were, we didn't. We just wanted to go to the race. So, again, race weekend was awesome. All right, so now you kind of heard the highs. Like I said, I had an excellent time at the race. The race was awesome. Hanging out with my bros was absolutely awesome. Bringing you guys along for the ride, absolutely awesome. But we got to flip the coin over and talk about the fouls. Now, what were the fouls? In my opinion, was it a commercial success? If you listen to the spin, they will tell you it was the greatest day in all Las Vegas history. However, from what I saw, I was there all week, obviously, because I lived there. Bros came in Thursday and Friday, and they experienced the same thing, which was deadness. It was dead. Like I said, we made a phone call. Granted, they know us, but made a phone call. And my bros secured reservations for buvettes like that. And buvettes was about half empty. And we noticed that as a theme everywhere. The high limit rooms were empty, even after the race. I wouldn't say empty. Let me pull that back. I would not say empty. I would say typical of an average Saturday night in Vegas. That's how I would put it. It was not greater. It wasn't standing room only. It wasn't elbow to elbow and shoulder to shoulder. I've seen that before. I've witnessed packed after an event. And for an event like that, it was not packed. There was deadness. While we were walking around the strip, deadness. Walking through the casinos, deadness. It was like a Monday night at 7 o'clock. It was quiet all over town. And again, the spin is that, this event brought 330,000 people to town. I call bullshit. I've seen 330 in town, and yes, they always play up the numbers. Like, you'll hear it again, New Year's Eve's coming up. They'll start tossing out numbers. There was 400,000 people in town. No, there's not. Just take whatever it is and cut that in half. Maybe 150 were in town. Maybe they're doing some other metrics, like who's watching it from, I don't know. But there was not 350,000 people in town. There was an occupancy. We talked to everyone. We talked to all the waitresses that we know. We talked to the pit bosses. We talked to the people in restaurants. We talked to the waiters. We talked to staff and other people saying, and everyone said the same thing. Typical, if not less than typical, Saturday night. So again, it's all about the spin. The town has to spin it up. I mean, let's face it, the town is going to spin it up. But there was some other things that we noticed that I don't know if they qualify as fails, but perhaps just a little unusual from my point of view. Okay, for one, it was so odd that the properties did not have a proper tie-in between what was going on outside and what was going on inside. And by that I mean, other than the fact that when you went in the the little retail stores and some of the shops, you'd see some F1 gear. You know, you might see some of this, you might see some of this. This came from the official shop. What up? Other than that, and maybe some 2x4 signs standing in hallways, there was no tie-in. There was no tie-in. I'm sure there was private parties here and there, but you would think with an event of this magnitude taking place, and we were at several casinos. We were at Aria, we were at Vidara, we were at Cosmo, we were at Bellagio, we were at Mirage, we were at the V, we were at the P, and where else did we go? I think we walked through, just walked through the Flamingo and Harrah's. No tie-in. You'd think like they dress up the waitresses and cute little checkered flag things going on, or maybe some gear, maybe some hats. Nothing. Zero. Zip. Maybe perhaps some checkered black and white balloons. Zero. No tie-in. No tie-in whatsoever. What was going on outside and what was taking place inside. You wouldn't even know, for the most part, other than people like me repping, you wouldn't know there was a race going on. So I don't know whether that was by design or just a complete marketing failure, because you could not tell. If you just, maybe they wanted it that way. If you just showed up for your weekend at the Bellagio and didn't give a shit about the race, maybe that was okay for you. There was, like I said, no tie-in. I bet during the Super Bowl there'll be some tie-in. Whether that was a marketing decision or a marketing fail, zero tie-in. You cannot tell. Legitimately, 2 feet by 4 foot signs every once in a while. That's it. That is it. As odd as that sounds, that was it. So getting back to the weekend, of course, the tickets were digital, so getting up there was not a big deal. They were letting people up at, I think it was like 6 p.m. and the race started at 10. Wasn't going to sit there for 4 hours, things to go, but just, camping out in a seat. The seats were like fold-down seats, like maybe this big. Not going to camp out there for 4 hours. However, some people did. And they were running some other vehicles here and there, but not 4 hours worth. And I think that's another fail. They should have utilized the track and maybe brought in some car clubs. And there were people who paid to drive around in some Maseratis, I think, to get the experience. But they could have utilized that a little better. But checking in again was kind of smooth. It was just like, bloop, showed them the thing, they scanned it, and you went on through. The whole list of prohibited items and what was allowed, no professional photography equipment, because that's what I was concerned about. I could have brought out one of my small little gimbals and not had a problem. I wish I actually did, but they didn't check. They didn't check. There was no pat downs. There was no, hey, you can't bring that in here. People walking in with bags and bottles. I'm not saying anything. I don't want to start anything, but the strictness that they proposed at the beginning certainly did not exist. There was people there with pro photo gear. I could have went in there with the gimbal, but I was, I wanted to, it's not often you get me to, capitulate with certain things like that. But I did, because I thought security was going to be exceedingly strict, but it was not. People were coming and going. The other weird thing was they should have given wristbands, because there was times that we got there, I think at 9. We finally went in, scoped our seats, did our things, but we had to go out. Who's got to go take a leak, look around. We were still in coordinating phase. They should have given wristbands, ones that they have the tamper-proof ones, if that's what they were afraid of. You got to cut them off, you can't even undo them, they're one-time use only. No. If you left, you had to go get back on the line, which closer and closer and closer at 10 p.m. started getting progressively longer. So like 2 of my buddies, exited. We hung out on the other side, and they had to go all the way around and through that. Okay, they could have, should have, would have. Wristbands would have been boss. What else can I say? The food, the bands. There was one band that we saw by the Mirage that was playing. The food court or whatever they had going on there, and the band. Hate to say it, but it was kind of like amateuristic. For the amount that people paid to be there. I mean, it was a decent band. I would say maybe on par with a variety band that you'd see at the bar at like the Mbe, the bar I'm talking about, the kind of the center bar where they do live acts. But a variety of different things. They can rap, they can do this, they can do Jethro Tull, they can do Mariah Carey. It's like one of those type of bands. I mean, from a skill level, they were what they were, but it wasn't, any blockbuster, oh my God, I can't believe I'm watching this level stuff. And then the food, very county fair. Those typical, pop-up little things with the pop-up folding tables, a couple tables here and there. Very county fairish. There was even a county fair level food truck out there that was called like hot dog on a stick, and they were selling just county fair. You could buy a hot dog and whatever and drip it all over yourself, and hot dog on but it was just, it's not what I thought. For an event like this, this is up there, it's F1, it's up there with like polo ponies and whatever. They could have done better on that. It wasn't like, oh my God, I feel like the 1%. You told me there was going to be 1%, and you're making me feel like the 1%. I didn't feel like the 1%. I felt like I was going to a county fair, quite frankly. So they should have stepped up the game there, and there wasn't pomp and circumstance. Yes, there was the national anthem. Donny Osmond did the national anthem at the finish line at the complex over there. They didn't pipe it in over any speakers whatsoever. Like nobody thought, hey, maybe everyone else would like to hear the national anthem. No, we watched it like, do you hear anything? We're like this. You hear anything? No. Like nobody thought to like maybe put some speakers out and maybe some microphones down there that we could hear, like that we could see the finale. Nobody thought about that. The total dropping of the ball. That was the national anthem. Everyone should have stood up. You know what I'm saying? That was a bit bizarre. There was a few things like that, like just these little touches that they completely missed. Like, okay, they did fireworks at the end, which if you stick around to the end of the video, you'll see the fireworks. Those were cool. They should have done fireworks in the beginning. I mean, this is Las Vegas. They missed, in my opinion, they missed the golden opportunity to do what Vegas does. Our Golden Nights. We put on a spectacular. When people come here for the Golden Nights, maybe some people think it's garish, it's over the top, whatever it is. It's different from every other team anywhere in the country, but it's what we do. We do garish, and we do it properly, and the world kind of expects the pomp and circumstance of Vegas, but received next to none. We should have had like F-16s flying down the strip. or something. Some parachuters or something. No. Is Donnie singing? Is he lip syncing? And that was it. We didn't hear gentlemen, they didn't pipe over, gentlemen, start your engine. We didn't hear nothing. We saw it on the screen across the street. They never thought to put speakers. They never thought to engage in what Vegas does, which is loud, proud, garish, over the top, celebratory, bam, in your face Vegas. They missed that opportunity, or they were told to take it down like all the notches. Not one notch, not two notch, all the notches were taken down. It was very subdued, and we couldn't hear shit. The other thing that I found odd was the security and law enforcement and or military presence. I expected to see, and I wouldn't have had a problem with it if there was an AR, if you know what I'm saying, every 10 feet. I wouldn't have had a problem with that. Maybe some people do. I wouldn't have been one of them, considering what the event was, how much people paid, and that might be the why they toned it down, because maybe they're figuring these F1 people paid all this money, they're less likely to get rowdy, but it was still kind of a target of opportunity, F1, national, but police and military presence was scattered at best. There was congregations here and there of 2, 3, and 4, but not an overwhelming presence. The presence at check-in and the security gates, extraordinarily minimal. That was almost left up to F1. They hired out a third-party contractor to do it. A bunch of, unarmed, vested people just telling you where to go here, where to go there. And they were also ushering people. If you stood still and you didn't have a ticket, they were being hardcore about it, telling people, go, you can't stand here, these are third-party people, unarmed, but just standing there telling people, go, ushering them off the bridges. If the people were like this, trying to get a little glimpse of the practices, those guards were just like, move along, being absolute dicks about it, but they were told to be dicks about it, but we'll talk about that. But security, especially at the gate where you were being scanned, and I'm sure there was some type of metal search going on or whatever, but, my gimbal wouldn't have triggered that. Again, presence was minimal. We saw, I think there at our gate, there was a lot of North Las Vegas police, and they were there. I'm not saying they weren't there, but I expected more. I don't know if I feel more secure if there were, but considering the event as a whole, I don't know. I don't know who made the command decision to tone it down a little bit. There was, like I said, it was a minimal law enforcement and military presence. I don't think beefing that up would have been a problem for most people. Maybe they feel a little more confident, but I'll tell you what, once you got in there, I did not feel unsafe. That's not the point of why I'm saying it. I'm just saying from an expectation, I expected one thing. It was the total opposite. That being said, I felt completely safe. I mean, we roll anyway, but I felt completely safe, and I'm sure everyone else did too. I didn't hear of any incidents. There was a couple of drunk people. You can see it in the live video, yelling, especially you Red Bull people. They were, doing their thing and whatnot. Wasn't like NASCAR, but it was just, for all intents and purposes, a more subdued crowd. I didn't see anyone get out of hand. I didn't see anyone interacting in a negative way with law enforcement or security. And I didn't see law enforcement reacting or relating to anyone in a negative fashion. Security, that's a different story. Those rent-a-cops, they were a bunch of D's. Some of them were a bunch of D's. They took it a little too serious for absolutely no reason. But other than that, that's how they handled it. Fortunately, all is well. There was actually helicopters circling where we were. I mean, they were close. They were really like, an Olight that could have lit them up. They were that close, and they were they were almost going around with the cars, and there was a couple other ones that were staged in the interim, and you could see that in the video too. You could hear the helicopter just prior to the vehicles arriving. So maybe they were maintaining the eye in the sky and FLIR and all that type of stuff. Maybe there was a reactionary force in those helicopters against in case things went sideways. We'll never know. I don't know. You'll probably never know. Only they know. But again, expectations. I expected more. There was a lot less. That doesn't mean it was unsafe. And of course, I have to talk about the Las Vegas spin. So I hinted at it before. The Las Vegas spin so far is 330,000 people came to town. I call bullshit. Prove it. I don't think there was 330,000 people. I mean, I could almost say I know, but I'm not going to go that far. Lawyers. I don't think there was 330,000 people here in town. What's the other spin? The most successful event in Las Vegas history, perhaps, but judging by what metric? The money, the success, the exposure, what is the metric? But all the casinos are in unison, they're in lockstep saying, best thing that ever happened to Las Vegas. I live here. I would have to say in all my years living here off and on, it was probably the worst thing. And I'm not whining or crybabying. There's a whole contingent of tourists out there that think us locals are, a bunch of crybabies and whiners, and they've been drinking the, so good for our economy Kool-Aid for so long. But they don't understand what it's like for 11 months to take 40 minutes to take your 15-minute drive. For 11 months. It's just ridiculous. Logistically, I am still in the F1 camp. They're still taking it down now. It's only a couple of days and they've barely put a dent in it. So this is going to go on another, they say 6 to 8 weeks. I'm thinking it's going to be like 3 or 4, maybe 5 to get things back to normal. But the traffic is still messed up. Internet down there on the strip is still messed up. You don't know what it was like on a daily basis. But then you hear the statement, oh, but most locals don't go to the strip anyway. Yeah, but sometimes we got to cross it. Sometimes we actually have to go across it. Some of us do work there. Not all of us work there. So yes, it has been a major, major, major inconvenience. But the town is spinning it up like crazy. The Win says the dealers for the weekend made the most tips ever. I think they're splitting. The first number came out 700,000 on race night, cumulatively 2 million in tips. The Win Core is in a whole different stratosphere in terms of people with money. If you've been there, you know what I'm saying. Win is a place that has like $500 minimum bet craps tables open on a Wednesday night on the floor, not in the high limit room. Different stratosphere of people. So to use that as it was so successful and everyone here loved it, kind of disingenuous. Granted, kind of cool. Those people made, a few $1,000 because all the tips are pooled. One guy tipped 400,000. That's a big tip. Okay, great. They made money. Did that compensate them for 11 months? Probably going closer to 13 with this shit of aggravation. Divide that up. What is that, 300 a week for your aggravation? All right, cool. I'm glad they made it. I don't say no. What about the dealers at Harrah's? Did they make more? Maybe. What about the dealers at Bellagio? I spoke to dealers at the Bellagio. They're like, these people ain't even tipping us. So to use that as a spin, the dealers there, again, I'm happy for them, but that wasn't universal up and down the strip. I talked to the cocktail waitresses. They're like, we ain't making any more. If anything, we're making less. Went to Siddell's on race day morning. The waiter there actually said, he caught himself, but he actually said, that he wasn't making any money. Like a waiter at Sadel's, I love Sadel's. He's like, ain't making shit, bro. Nobody's tipping. And the place was packed. He's like, I ain't making shit over here. So to spin up what they did over there at the Wynn, to say it was a success for all the people who worked on the strip for the hours and hours they had to wait in traffic every freaking day, and then show up. And in a lot of cases, because we know that tip culture here in the States is way different or almost non-existent outside the United States. So people didn't feel obligated, you know, like we do over here. You know, we tip to get a seat at Sadel's. You know, here's $40. You know, go find us a seat. I ain't waiting on this line. Pro tip, bam. Within 2 minutes we at. No, they'll wait on the line, and yeah, tips weren't flying. So, you know, this town operates like that. So I thought that was a bit disingenuous, using the tips and the betting. They say the sports betting on the race was phenomenal. Will we ever know? I don't know. The best thing that ever happened to Vegas? I don't know. I'm in the camp that if it did not return next year, I'd be okay with it. I saw it. If you watch my live streams, you saw it too. If it never happened again, don't care. Don't care. The inconvenience is not worth it. But hey, Bror Fredrik, all they got to do is put the fences up next year because they did the course. Nope. I say no. I call bullshit on that too. Because I walked. I'm still going to call it the racetrack until everything's down. I walked the racetrack last night during a live stream, if you guys saw it. There's gouges. Every time you saw those cars go by and you saw the sparks fly, that is the bottom of a car hitting that pavement. There was distinct paths of gouges. There was distinct paths of wear on the track, where, you know, the most likely places where they go. There's only certain routes you can take when you're apexing, you know. It's almost a given. You could do them a little better, but for the most part, the cars are going to pass the same part of the track over and over and over and over. This gouges, that's going to have to be repaired. Based on those gouges, you mean to tell me that there's not going to be a couple of lowriders cruising up and down the strip over the next year, gouging it out some more? I went and checked out those. They weren't manhole covers. They were drainage covers, the ones that took out the Ferrari. Poorly done. Poorly done. There was actual dips. It was very unlevel. Those things are going to be taken out. You know, people are going to be throwing freaking Fat Tuesday drinks out there. There's no way in the world that they're not going to do something to resurface that. At the bare minimum, they're going to have to shut down the strip to inspect it, fill the gouges. There's buses. The Deuce. That thing weighs tons. It's not going to do this. You're not going to have ruts here and there for, 8 months of those driving over it in the summer heat. When that gets up to 200 degrees, 190 degrees, that asphalt, the blacktop, they're going to have to do something. Whether it's just a mild resurface and they come in with steamrollers or whatever. But I almost guarantee that's going to have to get resurfaced. So it's not going to be like, yay, this is the first year, you'll never have to suffer through this again. We're going to have to suffer through it again. No offense or buts. So if it doesn't come back next year, I don't care. I'll be honest, I don't care. Will I still go? Maybe. I don't know. I went. Unless they guarantee that I could hear Donny Osmond singing the national anthem and they're going to fly a squadron of F-22 Raptors over, I don't know if I would. Okay, the last thing I have to address is the elephant in the room. What elephant is this that you speak of, Bror Fredrik? I hinted at it before. I thought, now bear in mind, I was in paid seating. So I could easily be like, but I'm not. And I asked a lot of other people, all my bros, they're all in agreement. a lot of other people all in agreement. If F1 was smart and they actually cared about the city of Las Vegas and the just sheer inconvenience that this cost for one race. Oh, wait a second. They offered anyone with a Nevada driver's license 40% off merch, $200. You think there was a line out the door? I don't think so. But if F1 really wanted to build goodwill, which I think they should be on a mission to build goodwill with the locals just for the inconvenience of it, they should have come out on Saturday morning and said, you know what? We're taking down all the black freaking curtains we put up so you couldn't see. We're going to let you look from the bridge. Just come on down. Bring the kids, bring the wife, bring your grandmother, bring everyone, and just line the racetrack. They should have done that. Maybe from a liability standpoint, sign a waiver in case a spoiler decapitates you or whatever. But it was set back enough. They should have let people there. If they wanted to build goodwill in the community, that would have been a way to do it. Say, you know what? Come on down. Because, you know what? Even if they said it was free, you could just watch for free, I still would have been up in those seats with my buddies because it's a different experience. I'm not like fighting crowds. So people would have still paid. There was an ass in every seat, and they didn't win it by being the fifth caller on some freaking radio show. There was an ass in every seat. That I will give it, at least in our section. There was an ass in every seat. So people paid for them. Given the opportunity to watch it for free, maybe some would. However, people would still pay. They would have made the same revenue off the seats if they opened it up for people to watch, and it would have built goodwill. And you know what else would have happened? You would have converted some of those people into fans. They would have been like, holy shit, this is sick. Next year, I want to be up where Bror Fredrik is, watching this whole thing instead of being elbow to elbow down here. You see what I'm saying? Did they do that? No, they did the opposite. They went out of their way to make sure that you didn't even get a peek. They literally, the security, those rent-a-cops that were there, if you gathered, they were like, you gotta move, you don't have any tickets, keep moving, no tickets, no soup for you. They were rude and aggressive with these people, and I watched it, and I was like, you're a bunch of dicks, It was, there was old rent-a-cops, young ones, ex-military. I mean, there was a wide demographic of who they were. Some of them were just straight up assholes, but they were told to be assholes because F1 is protecting their image. Wasn't necessary. That caused further animosity amongst the citizens of Las Vegas. F1 was just like, F you, and the town is like, F you, F1. And I'm still in the logistical camp of F you, F1. It just is what it is. They had the golden opportunity to recover the image, to just make the people who suffered through the aggravation of this whole thing, make them feel part of it. Like, that's why I went. I felt like part of it after everything that transpired, all the aggravation, all the headaches, all the hassle, and, part of my tax dollars heading that way. I wanted to be part of it, and I was part of it, and I'm glad I did it, and it was fun. It was literally something I will never forget for the rest of my life. But they could have made the entire town feel like that. The entire town would have had that feeling of, now I get it, of being valued and validated. F1, you effed up. You had the golden PR opportunity, and you straight up let it slip through your fingers. All right, people, that was fun. That was my recap. I hope you enjoyed it. But stay tuned. Right now, I'm going to put up the fireworks. I told you at the end, if you stuck around to the end, you get to see the fireworks. which were pretty cool. I ain't gonna say no. And while I got you, I'm gonna invite you to like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell button to get notified when I do this again, which is at least, what, how many times? 5 times a week. And if you want to support the channel, go check out all the links below. Go check out all my sponsors. Don't forget Olight. I got a whole video. They're putting out all sorts of new products. They got all the specials going on. Use my coupon code and my link. Score yourself an additional 10%. And don't forget Tiege Hanley, fellas. You want to be looking your best, especially for holiday season. 30% off, and they got mad bundles. Check that out below, too. You can save, on one of them I saw, save 85%. That's sick. Get your look, fellas. And I got all the other links, and you can do all this stuff, but I love you just for being here, and I do appreciate it. And on that note, Bror Fredrik out.